important exclusive story that we've coming in. This is an exclusive interaction that I had with Meta India's MD Arun Srinivas. In this exclusive conversation, we spoke about how WhatsApp is enabling delivery of citizen services through its platform, from certificates to transit tickets and everyday services. They all can be accessed on WhatsApp. Let's listen into what Mr. Srinivas had to say, ladies and gentlemen. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Tonight. But you don't go anywhere, and you take a look at this exclusive conversation that we had with Mr. Srinivas.
See, I think WhatsApp obviously, is one of the leading apps in the country. India has close to 1 billion users on the internet, and many of them obviously use WhatsApp, daily. What started off as just conversations between people to people, expanded to people to businesses. And today we see interesting things, like right from you can download your bank statement, fly and get a boarding pass, etc. And slowly, government services have started coming alive. So we now are live with more than 4 states, which is Andhra, Odisha, Telangana, and Tamil Nadu, where citizen services are accessible on WhatsApp. And the primary reason is, if you look at, obviously India has a thriving digital infrastructure that the governments have built. So everything is digitized, right from land records, birth certificates, whatever, or even exam hall tickets and whatnot. But for a citizen to access this, they may have to go to individual government websites. Whereas, if you look at, that's not the natural behavior, especially if you want to give deep governance to, people living in the hinterlands. Right. And what happens, therefore, is that many people are unable to access them. Okay. I think, whereas the reality is they're all on WhatsApp, I think the government has also been able to see this. Right. And I think a lot of the governments have started taking initiatives where they want to make sure their essential services are on WhatsApp.
Right. So you essentially stated that 4 states are currently live with your services. Arun, to give us an understanding of how these services are integrated with WhatsApp and how do they actually function in terms of delivery of, some of these services to people, and what's coming up next? How many more states are you currently in talks with?
Yeah, let me break that down first. So if I look at, we started first with Andhra Pradesh, and they started with about 150 services, and today we have more than 850 services live. And when I say services, for example, you can book your APSRTC bus tickets there. You can get your birth certificates, death certificates, land records. You can actually book temple darshans and even give donations to temples today. And students in Andhra, for example, more than 95% of them downloaded their hall ticket for their state board exams last May on WhatsApp. And again, a lot of them accessed their results when the results came, obviously on WhatsApp. So I think in some sense, this helps really give citizen services to the last mile. So it doesn't matter whether you're 50 kilometers away from the near municipality or town, you're able to actually, at the click of a button, start getting services. So this is what, let's say, a service looks like. Why did we, let's say, if I look at any of the other states, for example, Tamil Nadu, we went live in January. I am from Chennai, so I downloaded my birth certificate the moment it was live. Okay. And I literally got it in 2 minutes, which is unthinkable, as you can imagine. So why are there only 50 services? See, different departments in different states are, I would say, at various stages of digitization. So the effort required is, firstly, I think the state governments have done a tremendous job to firstly, figure out saying what's the journey. Typically, it might be a pen and paper journey or even a website journey. Right. How does that translate into WhatsApp? So, for example, let's say if I take my birth certificate journey, it's really about giving the registration number or depending on the queries. I may know where I was born, when I was born in Chennai, but I may not have the registration number in a jiffy, or equally if I have that, then that journey becomes different. Right. So how do you really translate each of this into, let's say, a few steps, and then give what the user wants is really what is on the table. Right. Different states, as I mentioned, are slowly adding services. So, for example, Odisha, we started with about, again, 170 services. Their focus was on, from day one, I want this, invoice integrated here, because it's not only about text and typing, but how do I really give the last mile, person the ability to ask something, because they may not be fluent or they may not have the greatest of phones. So how do you still make sure you provide that service? And, we are seeing a lot of, usage on land records, for example, there. It also is a great boon for governments once to, because they have their citizens' numbers. Andhra, for example, during the, let's say, Cyclone Manta, which was a natural potential disaster, sent more than 10 million messages on WhatsApp. 25,000 people actually submitted their grievances once they were impacted. So this also helps the government in understanding who is impacted and how do I solve this.
Right. Arun, but when you talk about the fact that, these services are live in 4 states, there are many more other states that are currently you are currently in talks with. In terms of the overall business generation, while I do understand that this is a great social initiative as well, and WhatsApp has been, rather important for India's digital journey as well. You have very many other services as well. But in terms of the overall business generation, what percentage of this, arm is of your overall business?
See, for us, I think we don't see this as, I would say a business opportunity for two reasons. I think we are more interested in really making sure that the app is engaging and people use it ubiquitously for a variety of reasons. So I'll give you an example today. We have more than 9 or 10 cities in which the metro tickets on transit can be bought on WhatsApp. So for example, today evening, I plan to take the Delhi Metro. There's no way, otherwise I'm going to make my flight. So I actually will, book a ticket on WhatsApp before I walk in from Shivaji Stadium to the Delhi airport. And that actually, really helps, I would say, predictability, cutting queue times and whatnot, right? And today we know that more than 1 in 2 tickets that are sold digitally are actually bought on WhatsApp, across these metros. So I think for us, it's more about how, our users use this. They have to see WhatsApp as a part of their lives. So whether, as I said, it's a boarding pass, it's a bank statement, or equally transit, these are important for us because for us, it's also about users and how they view the app is a part of their everyday lives.
Right. So when it comes to sort of expansion of these services via WhatsApp, what are going to be your goals over the next couple of months?
I'd say, it's difficult to really give you a specific goal for a couple of months. See, for example, we announced a partnership with Maharashtra. Right now, that bot is under development. See, everything starts again, it's not that all these processes are identical across every state, So even the forms that you fill, for example, to get any service will be very different. So we have to really work with each of the states. And then there's, of course, language, which is the other layer, to make sure that, we deliver it in the right way. So we are working with Maharashtra, for example. A few other states, have also started on their own initiative. For example, there's a CM helpline in Meghalaya today, which is on WhatsApp, or equally Kerala started something, etc. So we are in talks with each of these states to see how can we scale these. And as I said, one is about new states, but equally even within the existing states, for example, like I said, in Tamil Nadu, we have the Chennai Corporation right now live. They have to get the other corporations live because, as I said, again, digitization could be at different levels in each state.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see how some of these services actually work, Arun, but thank you very much for taking the time out.
Yeah. Lastly, I also want to say, outside of the states, we also see this being used now slowly but surely by some of the central departments. To give you a couple of examples, the Archaeological Survey of India, ASI, they run a lot of monuments, as you know. So we are live as we speak, so you can book tickets to Taj Mahal, Red Fort, etc. And these, as you realize, will be in multiple languages, right? The second one is the PM BJP Jan Aushadhi Kendras, which provide healthcare and medicines. That again is available to more than 400 million citizens in 20 states, with over 18,000 Jan Aushadhi Kendras, right? So again, let's say those who need access can actually use WhatsApp, and these are in over 10 languages, if I recall right. These are significant in terms of, I guess the scale at which it will start impacting life.